If you help consumers restore their credit and you want to learn my 5-step credit repair strategy that you can move every single customer through, then you definitely want to watch this video. All right, so let's get into it. This is what I call the 5-step credit repair strategy. Now, this is a powerful strategy that you can process every single customer that comes into your credit restoration company, right? Because you got to have a way to process them, right? A lot of customers, when they come to you, they want to improve their credit score. They want to get approved for something. So I'm going to show you the 5-step strategy that I will take a customer through whenever they need help with their credit score. So let's check this out. So the first step is we want to master. These are the skills that we want to master here, right? These are the 5 skills that we want to master: the payment history, the amount owed, the length of credit, the mix of credit, and new credit. Now, every single customer that comes to you and that need credit restoration services, you have to educate them on the 5 areas. And you have to build your process so every single customer can hit these 5 areas in order to achieve exactly what they want, which is a better credit score. Now, as you already know, no one can guarantee a credit score increase. But here's what you can do. You can focus on trying to achieve each one of those elements here to get your customer to a better credit score by focusing on these 5 steps of a better credit score. And you do it by following what I'm about to show you right now. All right. So the first step is the payment history. Now, we all know what the payment history is 35% of your customer's credit score. Now, if you can figure out how to replace the payment history, how to get your customer back to 35%, then that's one step closer to achieving the goal on why the customer even hired you in the beginning, right? So we got to focus on the goal, and the goal is the payment history. It's 35% of the score. So let's take a look at some of the things that we can do to replace or restore the 35% in the credit score. So like I said before, the customer is coming to you because all they care about is improving their credit score. They don't care about credit repair. They don't care about removing inaccurate information. They want to get the credit score up. So what can we do as a credit restoration company to help them get that credit score where they want it to be? So we're going to focus on the payment history first. So the first thing we want to do is we want to focus on removing inaccurate information off the credit report. So as you can see right here, it says remove inaccurate information, inaccurate negative accounts, inaccurate collection accounts, inaccurate charge-offs, inaccurate late payments. This is what I'm talking about. We got to target inaccurate information on the consumer's credit report because it's part of the payment history. It's part of the 5 steps. So once we get the inaccurate information off of the credit report, we can now focus on the next portion of this. And the next portion of this is to block new negative items from coming on your customer's credit report. So how do you do that? You educate your customer on how to prevent new negative information from hitting their credit report. Now, it's up to you as the credit restoration company to educate your customer on what to do so new negative information do not hit the credit report. I mean, look, we just challenged and removed inaccurate information. Why are you allowing them to add more negative information to the credit report? So we have to focus on educating the customer on ways to not allow inaccurate new information hit the credit report. One of the other key things we want to focus on is the 24-month rule. Now, what is that? The 24-month rule basically means is that we want to focus on any inaccurate item that hits the customer's credit report within the first 24 months from today. So those negative items or inaccurate items that hit the credit report 24 months from today is going to have the most damage on the credit score. So if you're trying to replace this 35%, then you need to focus on items or inaccurate items that are recent on the consumer's credit report. So that should be a part of your credit restoration process when you're processing a consumer. Another key thing here is we need to pay attention to the statute of limitation for each inaccurate account that you decide to challenge. You need to know what the statute of limitation is for each one of these inaccurate accounts, because if you just start disputing something that's within a statute, the creditors can possibly sue your customer because the debt is still within a statute of limitation. So we got to be careful with that as well if we're trying to focus on the 35% rule. And lastly, for the 35%, you have to constantly educate your customer to constantly send in any results that they get from the credit bureaus or the creditors or the collectors. If you don't get the results back, how can you focus on the next round? How can you focus on trying to get inaccurate information off of your customer's credit report if your customer is not sending you the results in? If they're not updating you, or if you don't have some sort of email campaign that's reminding the customer to constantly send in their results. And in the Client Dispute Manager software, we already have built-in nurturing email campaigns that will remind the customer to send in their results whenever they get these results back from the credit bureaus. Very, very important. The next step in this process is the amount owed. Now, this is the amount of debt that the customer owed. Now, having maxed out credit cards is definitely going to bring your customer's credit score down tremendously. So as a credit restoration company, we need to focus on how do we educate, how do we get our customers to bring the credit card debt down. Now, we're not talking about closed accounts. We're not talking about negative accounts. We're talking about open accounts. We got to focus on that too, right? But how do we get it down? If we want to reach the maximum 30% so we can get the customer back to where they want to be, we need to be able to focus on and educate them and teach them how to get their credit score, how to get these balances down. And one of the things we can do is we can tell them to pay down the balances to 30%. Now, if they can get the balances down to even more, that's even better. But you know, we're kind of tight on money, so I wouldn't really push it, right? So try to get it down to at least 30%. We're talking about all the credit cards. And if you can get that back down, you can reclaim that 30% of the FICO score. Now, here are some ways you can do it. You can ask them to pay it down. You can ask them to get a second loan. If they have good credit, they can get a loan and transfer all of those high credit cards to the loan, because a loan is an installment account, right? It's not a revolving, and credit utilization is normally based off revolving, and it's not really based off installments. So if they can get a loan and move all those credit cards over to the loan, it's going to free up all of the credit cards and take it down to a zero balance. So that's another strategy. Another strategy is to educate your customer to pay twice a month to pay down the balance of the credit card. So instead of waiting to pay at the end of the month or the due date, they can pay twice a month. So this is another strategy. They can pay twice a month to pay down the credit card. You can also ask the customer to request for a credit limit increase if it does not impact the credit score, if it does not occur a hard inquiry. So what you got to do is you got to educate your customer and tell them, look, ask your creditor, if I apply for a credit increase, will this be a hard pull or a soft pull? If it's a hard pull, then you definitely don't want to do that, because that's going to bring the credit score down even lower, right? All right. Talk to the customer about working part-time, working a part-time job. Anything you can do to get some extra revenue to help pay down the debt that's owed, to get the credit cards down, to get that credit card limit, to make that credit card limit available again, to get that debt down so you can reclaim the 30% of the 5 factors. Now, if you can claim the 30% of the 5 factors, again, guys, we're on our way to success. And look, this is every customer. Like, you need to have a plan. Like, you need to be able to take the customer through these steps so you can show the customer that you're making progress for them. It's not just about dispute letter sending. Okay. It's not just about dispute letter sending. It's more than dispute letter sending. Okay. It's these 5 elements. It's the credit. It's the credit. It's the 5 steps of my credit repair strategy that can help get your customer where it needs to be. So there's no guarantees on any of this, right? But at least you will have some framework that you can work around. At least you can share this framework with the customer. Hey, look, I'm going to take you through this process and I can't guarantee you anything, but I'm going to try my best to help you improve your credit score. Okay. The third step is length of credit. Now, length of credit is 15% of the overall FICO score or credit score. That's the overall. 15% of it, right? How long have you had these credit cards? Now, why does the creditors and lender care about that? Because they want to know. They want to know, can you make payments on time for such a long period of time? They want to know. They want to know if you can make that payment. Why should I lend you money? Why should I lend you money? Like prove to me that you can make payments. Prove to me that you're going to pay me back, right? So it's length of credit and it's 15% of the overall credit score. So one of the things that we can do is that we can educate our customer to not close old accounts. Now, old accounts have age on it, and age shows a lot of payment history. And if it's positive, it's going to stay on there forever. So you don't want to close old accounts because they have age, and it's 15% of your overall credit score. So don't close old accounts. Well, what if they come back to you and say, hey, Mark, listen, look, I got too many credit cards. What account can I close? I got too many credit cards. Which ones can I close that won't have that much impact on my overall credit score? So here's what I would say. Close the most recent one. Close the most recent account that you just opened. Okay. But don't touch those old accounts, because if you do, it's going to hurt you on the 15%. It's going to hurt your customer for the 15%. Okay. Now, another thing you can do is educate your customer and let them know that if they don't have any activity on a credit card that they're not using, the creditors are going to close that credit card because there's no activity on the credit card. So there's a high likely chance that the creditor will close the credit card. So look, it's up to you. You got to educate your customer. Don't think that your customer knows all of this stuff, right? They're depending on you. You are the expert. They're depending on you to know all of these things. So you have to educate them. You got to educate them on everything that they need to do step by step. And that's why they hired you, because they're depending on you to help them, to be their mentor, to get them to where they need to be. So focus on the 15% length of credit. All right, so let's talk about mix of credit. Now, mix of credit is the 4th element to my 5 steps to my credit repair strategy. It's the 4th element. And a mix of credit is basically what it means. You need to have a mixture of credit, and you need to educate your customer on having a mixture of credit. Hey, look, listen, your customer is not going to know what that means. They're not going to know. Like, they don't even know that they need a mixture of credit. So this is where you come in. You come in and you got to be able to educate the customer again. And like I said before, inside of the Client Dispute Manager, we have automated nurturing emails that you can plug and play and put this type of education inside of the emails. Well, it will automatically nurture your customer and educate them on what the mix of credit means. You see, if you don't educate your customer on a regular basis, they're going to think you're not doing anything for them. And when they think you're not doing anything for them, guess what happens? They cancel their services. Why would someone pay if they feel that you're not doing anything for them? So you have to constantly be nurturing the customer, and you can do that automatically in the Client Dispute Manager. So let's talk about the mixture of credit. One of the first things you have to do is, you, as the expert, has to know what is a mixed strategy. You have to know, like, what is the strategy? Like how often do I need to mix? What do I need to mix? Like, what type of trade lines do I need to add? How many trade lines I need to add? Like, you need to know these things, right? How are you going to educate the customer if you don't even know? So you got to know the mix strategy. Do the customer need a retail store card? Do they need a credit card? Do they need a secured card? Do they need a loan? Do they need a car loan? Or what do they already have already on their credit report? So you have to assess that as well. That's the mixture of credit. You need to talk about adding new accounts. Is it time to add new accounts? Well, what type of accounts should I add? How many accounts should I add? Or how many accounts should I recommend to the customer? What type of accounts should I recommend to the customer? You see, as a credit restoration expert, you need to know these things. And the more you know these things, the more power you become, or the more powerful you become. You have the power because you have this knowledge. And you got to know like what type of mixture of credit that your customer will need to replace and to get to 10% back. Because if they don't have the mixture of credit, they're not going to have the 10%. And if they don't have the 10%, then they're not going to reach the optimum credit score that they came to you for. Okay, so we got to remember why they're there. They're there for you to help them reach a goal or reach a credit score so they can go out and become credit worthy again. Okay, and the next thing you want to talk about is rebuild credit products. There's a lot of rebuild credit products on the market. There's Renter Reporter, there's Chime, there's secured cards, there's Fingerhut. There's so many different rebuild credit products that you need to have in your arsenal. You need to be able to provide that to the customer. You need to be able to provide a mixture of credit options, and you need to know when to talk to your customer and the type of products to suggest to your customer. Look, I'm going to tell you from experience, you're going to get your customers, they're going to ask you, hey, listen, I need a new car. I need a new car. I want a new car. I want to apply for a new car, but you know their credit score is not where it needs to be, but you're going to have customers who ask you this stuff. So you got to make a decision on whether they should apply for a new car. Look, if they need that mixture of credit and if it's not going to hurt their credit score, why not? Let them apply for the new car. They're going to apply for it anyways, with or without your permission, because that's what they need. Okay. New credit. You see, new credit is 10%. It's 10% of the overall credit score. Now, we all know what new credit is. It's simply you applying or your customer applying for credit. Now, how are you going to help them with their credit report if they are constantly applying for new credit? If they're constantly applying for new credit, like how? Here, again, you got to educate the customer on when and when not to apply for new credit. So let's talk about that. New credit is simply them applying for credit. When they think their credit score went up some, they get happy, they get excited, and then they start applying for new credit. This is while they're in your credit restoration program. So they cannot be applying for new credit while they're in your credit restoration program. So advise them again through your education, through your nurturing, through your monthly calls that you have with them to nurture them. Let them know to not apply for new credit. If they choose to apply for new credit, tell them and educate them that only 3 inquiries per year is what top FICO achievers do. The top FICO achievers, people with 800 credit scores, they never apply for more than 3 pieces of credit per year. So 3 inquiries is the max. If you go over 3 inquiries, guess what? The creditors are going to think you're desperate. You're applying for too much credit. So it's your job to educate your consumer on this fact, not them. Don't expect that they're going to know all of this stuff. You got to educate them on it. It's you. Yeah, you. They hired you. So you got to educate them on this whole process. Okay. And lastly, if any of the inquiries on the customer's credit report is inaccurate, unauthorized, the customer did not give any permission for those inquiries, or it's identity theft, you need to challenge those inquiries with the creditor first. Don't go to the credit bureau first, because the credit bureau is just going to say it's a matter of record. You go where they're originated, which is with the creditor. Okay. But make sure you talk with your customer, you do the interview, and you ask them about the inquiries. I don't want you just going off on your own and start challenging inquiries on the credit report, and you haven't even talked to the customer on whether they're accurate or not, right? Because you don't want to challenge an inquiry that your customer actually applied for, and then now they have a credit card that's attached to the inquiry, and now you got the inquiry deleted, and now the creditor closed the credit card because you said that the customer did not give them permission to pull their credit report in order to prove them from credit. All right, so I hope you got a lot of value from this training, the credit repair strategy, the 5-step credit repair strategy. And just for watching all the way through, I want to give you access to the Ultimate Credit Repair Business Owner's Guide. It's absolutely free, and all you have to do is click the link right below this video, okay? It's jam-packed, a lot of education, a lot of training. It's absolutely free. It's called the Ultimate Credit Repair Business Owner Guide. And I'm telling you guys, this is a really, really, really good guide. And if you are seasoned, or you're just starting out, or you're beginning and you need some assistance with this, just check out this guide. It's absolutely free for you. And all you have to do is check out the link right below this video to get started with this free guide. All right, so that's it, right? Thank you so much for watching all the way through. And I hope that the 5-step credit repair strategy that you should be processing your customers through, I hope it really helped you. I hope it shed some light on the process, right? I hope it shared some light on the process. Just remember, always stay compliant with the FTC Act, always stay compliant with the TSR, always stay compliant with CROA. Never misrepresent your customer, never lie, never guarantee that like you can improve the credit score, and don't even make it implied. Don't have any type of misleading or implied statements on your website, or even when you are promoting or marketing your business. Don't make the customer feel that if they go with you, that you're going to improve the credit score. And lastly, this is what the FTC really does not like, and this is something very critical that I want everyone to know. This is a bonus. This is a bonus. Check this out. Don't leave. Check out the bonus. The FTC does not like it when you say, what is your goals? Like, so if somebody comes on, get rid of that word, what is your goals? That's an implied statement, right? It's an implied statement that you can almost guarantee the customer success. You can almost guarantee the customer an improving credit score. So get rid of that. Do not mention what is your goal, because it's implied. It's making the customer say, well, my goal is to get a better credit score, or my goal is to get in a new home. And then if you listen to their goal, you say, okay, well, we can help you with that goal, and we can get you to where you need to be. It's an implied statement that you're telling this customer that you can almost guarantee them a higher credit score, and that's a no. Okay, so that's deceptive marketing, and you can't guarantee that. Stay away from that. Okay, you stay away from that, you shouldn't have any problems. Again, thank you for watching all the way through, and again, thank you, and I'll see you on the other side.